Hello, my name is Rocket. Welcome to another edition of Rocket's Rambler Garage. So as we've been doing in the past couple of episodes, we have begun working on the resurrection of a 1962 Ambassador that is perched up above our heads here. And we went and did something crazy this morning because we needed to put up something where we could get a visual as to what we got in front of us to try to get this car ready to make a 4,500 mile trip. So we went out and bought a whiteboard this morning, and we spent too long off camera writing stuff down that we need to go do. And so we've got a bunch of this stuff started. We're getting ready to pull the engine out, and when we get it out, we'll do timing chain, valve seal, some of that sort of stuff. We'll pull the exhaust manifolds. We'll then get the transmission out and degrease it and do those things. So obviously we got a lot of stuff to do ahead of us. The most important thing is, we put it up there as a reminder in the upper right, we got to have this thing running and driving by July 1st so we can lay some miles down and see if there's anything else that needs to be fixed that it wasn't on the list to begin with. So without further ado, we need to get busy and get thrashing on this and try to get something done. Okay, we're back down. So when we left off, we had not quite pulled the air conditioning compressor out of this, but we've kind of determined that it probably still has refrigerant in it. So we're going to have to be kind of careful about how we do things. And to give us a little bit more clearance, we're going to pull this water pump out of here, because it'll give us about 1.5 inches of forward engine movement before we ram anything into our air conditioning condenser here. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is to actually get the water pump out. I got a throttle linkage in the back to do, and then the last thing we'll do is the AC pump. We got a couple motor mount bolts to take out in the back, and then we will have to get the hood off of here and relocate our light. Could be another one that falls. It's a spacer. Okay. Actually, before you go too far, something we needed to do first that we didn't do. Move off to the side now.
Try quarter. One thing I'd love to do with this
non-AMC screw.
Oh, yeah. Another thing I'd love to do to this, I'd love to take all these and cut them off. Not like that one.
It's a lovely screw too.
Just scrap that one.
Scrapped. Deleted. Move over, please. Separate those. That's gotta stay there. And then this can loop around. Looking clamp.
We'll take this one down here undone as well. That one's actually a 5/16.
I see that.
You can get it.
That's a standard cushion clamp too.
Yeah, then where do we want to,
We need to get that carefully turned and the bracket off of it. Nope, you're gonna have to roll it. Probably cylinder head up. No, you're not gonna want to do that. Okay. Grab that hose. Follow me. Don't pull on it too hard. As this hood stop, stand it up. Ow! Come on. All right, we're back. We got the hood off and our lifting rigging in place. So we need to put a little up on this. It ain't gonna have to come forward very much because we don't have the usual motor mounts and other things in the way. We don't have to lift anything off studs on motor mounts, so lift her up a little bit. Oop, one more. Oh, you.
what is it?
The dust shield we didn't remove down here off the bell housing has a lip that's sticking up in the back of it. It snagged the flywheel from coming out through.
So all we've done is bend it.
Sliding. We haven't pried on it enough to bend it real hard. We are going to have to slither under there and go take it out.
You want me to, or do you want to?
Here.
I'm gonna go grab my coat, so I have to use my coat, not my in-house clothes.
The reason I didn't pull it, transmission mounts have collapsed enough that it was laying down. The best we're going to be able to do is get the two forward bolts out. Ow! Pull it down. You see it on the corner?
Yeah, I know, but I'm running into the cross member, which is why I had to bring me an extension.
Fair enough.
Maybe a pair of iPro too.
Are you clear of the lift? The hoist? Engine hoist?
Yeah, I'm using it as my elbow stand right now.
Push the engine back a slither. You get it out.
They're out.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to bend that tin a little bit, but pull down on it.
Pulling.
You're going to need about 3/4 of an inch clearance from the bell housing.
Try it.
Just you got it pulled down about 3/4 of an inch on both sides. Pull it down.
I'm doing what I can. I'm up against the cross member, so. No, you're still hitting it.
You're going to have to get it pried out of the way.
I'm against the cross member. I literally can't make it go down any further.
Get out from under the car.
tell you're still hitting it by the sound it's making.
You know, you get down and look.
Yep, you're still hitting it.
Okay, it's gonna have to come up a little more, a bunch more. Keep coming. A little more. Now we're free. Hoist back, easy. Ooh. Okay, up. Okay, go check back. I got this.
No, it's also hitting the horn. And it still needs to come further forward. Because of the clutch and all that.
Alright, come up some more. Mark right up against the...
You can bring it forward like 1/8 of an inch.
Gonna be tight.
Stuff job.
Can't get much. Hold on. Yeah, we're clearing. Okay. I can hear it bouncing. Hold on. How we looking?
You're okay, but
It's okay. You gotta have to leave it. It's slowly pushing the core. It's all right. Pump up. Keep coming. A little bit more. Right against the water pump. Pull. It's okay. We're gaining room. Start watching wires and things.
we're snagging the throttle linkage.
How hard though?
Not hard yet. It still moves pretty freely, but
As long as it doesn't snag a bolt, we're okay.
we might want to pull this thing the last tiny bit forward.
Alright. Remember, as we come up, it's going to go back. Yeah, I'll move out of the way. Hold on. Hold. We're going to have to start watching that manifold. Okay. Hold still. Here. Steady the motor. Steady the motor. Right. Keep it off that pulley. I gotta kick the hoist over your way. Just to...
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, but that gives me enough room to get this thing by. Okay. Okay, go check your back. And just make sure nothing's snagged. Nothing snagged. Come pump it up some more.
Have to.
Well, as soon as you get the pulley past the front here,
It's okay.
make sure nothing's hooked around a clutch disc or a bolt sticking out of an exhaust manifold. You look good on this side.
You're gonna have to probably pump it so I can hold this out of the way.
Okay.
You're all clear. I can grab it. Yeah, I can pump.
Too much. Okay, check the back, make sure we ain't snagged on something.
We are all clear. We're not even touching anything.
Good, you just cleared here. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Up.
That is the definition of a stuff job.
That ain't bad. That 429 we stuck in a 66 Ford Fairlane convertible is tougher than this. Especially doing it.
Drop no. So.
No, because you gotta clear. We gotta be able to swing it over a fender and.
Well, I'm saying drop the car down.
It's not up very high.
We
Plus,
can drop it down a lot.
We got a jack underneath the transmission holding it up too. We need to get this down and out of the way and stabilized. So
You want to try to bring it over the front and?
you ain't clearing the fender yet. You got
No, I'm saying, do we try to do one of these?
Yeah, maybe. Actually, well, so pick up the broom. Clear the gangway. Okay, pull back a little. Okay, hold still. Balance the motor. Got it?
Yep.
Hold still. Hold still.
Hold on.
Pull it towards you. How about giving me another pump or two for some insurance?
No.
That'll do. Yeah. Ugh. Gently. Come on, go faster. Hold still and then. Good grief.
What?
Somebody lost it. Fuel pump fitting back there and all the goo. Okay. There you go. That's fair for now. So I'll show you what the issue was getting the engine out of this car. So this is the what they call dust cover over the flywheel, and it sits down here in the back like so. We're able to get to the forward bolts pretty readily. These rear ones couldn't even see them, but it was snagging on this with the flywheel such that we couldn't get anything apart. We'll show you what's going on up here. So this sets up in here like so. We ultimately wound up taking the sway bar loose so we could even drag it out of here. It sits up in here tight. And those two other bolts set way up there in the back where you can just barely see them. I wound up taking the transmission mount undone and letting the jack we already had underneath here let the transmission go up a little bit higher so we had room to start to get this out. So we're going to have to work on a little bit different plan to be able to put that motor back. I also noticed in the clutch that we drug the bottom tooth out of here pretty hard on the clutch, which is going to make putting it back a real pain. But the bottom of the oil pan had to pretty much follow this cross member. So we might just have to unbolt that and drop it down and then reassemble all the motor mounts and stuff as we go. We can have the fronts, I suppose, bolted in place, but we're gonna have to work on putting it back, or that's going to be a real challenge to wrestle it back in. Especially when you wrestle it back in, you have to line all the holes up. Pulling apart's not quite so bad because things slip apart and you don't have to worry about hole alignment. Putting it back, we'll have to hit the bell housing, dowel pins, get all that stuff to line up and slide back together. It's going to be a tight fit if we don't rethink things a little bit. So we may have to unbolt this cross member and pull it down a little bit, and then we get done, we can put it back up. Oh, that's going to be a bit of a challenge because we'll have to do it down low probably. So anyway, motor's out. Now we can start the cleaning and overhaul work we need to do to that motor.
Give you all a little walk around on it. Cleanest thing on the whole damn thing is this clutch. It's just a nasty hit. And this, by the way, is our homemade PCV system since we broke the draft tube.
Well, good morning. We got the engine out yesterday and it was quite a fight. I had not planned on having to pull that dust cover off the clutch. I kind of initially thought about it and then went, those back two bolts are going to be hell to get out, so we'll get it when we drop the cross member and pull the transmission out, which would have worked good, except it didn't work out that way. It works all right with an automatic because they have a flat cover across the front of the torque converter, and so everything slides apart without any fanfare. That one just was awful. But anyway, we got the engine out. She's hanging from a stand. What I think we're going to do is we're actually going to drop the cross member out of this thing that sits underneath the center of the engine and the one forward as well. But to do so, we're going to have to get busy and hang the engine from the body so we can pick things up and hook the coil springs again, take the tension off the front suspension so we can take the lower inner control arm bolts out and pull that cross member out of there. It'll make degreasing it easier. It'll also give us room to stand in the engine bay and do some much needed cleaning and degreasing and whatnot to the engine bay. So with that in mind, the next thing we're going to do is put some weight back on the body so we can pick things up a little bit with a jack. Grab a hold of the manifold.
Actually, these surfaces don't look bad.
Yeah, we'll have some cleaning, but they don't look too bad. Okay. Take that over to the other side so we can extract the studs.
No, these don't look too bad. Normally, some of these are horribly rusty. These don't look too bad.
But anyway, we got the engine out. She's hanging from a stand. What I think we're going to do is we're actually going to drop the cross member out of this thing that sits underneath the center of the engine and the one forward as well. But to do so, we're going to have to get busy and hang the engine from the body so we can pick things up and hook the coil springs again, take the tension off the front suspension so we can take the lower inner control arm bolts out and pull that cross member out of there. It'll make degreasing it easier. It'll also give us room to stand in the engine bay and do some much needed cleaning and degreasing and whatnot to the engine bay. So with that in mind, the next thing we're going to do is put some weight back on the body so we can pick things up a little bit with a jack.
Want to do this side first?
Yeah, we may get away with just hanging it from one side. You're gonna have to get that out of the way a little.
Well,
Yeah.
Need some rocks.
No, the jack goes back as it goes up. Those marked left or right.
This one says right, and this one says left.
Give me the right side one that you got. Leave it alone. Give me the other long one. Might have to go make some long haul thread. Let me adjust it, please. Actually better anyway because these have too much. All right, we're back and starting to set up to turn an exhaust manifold. These are always a bunch of fun to set up just because they're like trying to hang on to a big slippery fish, and they're not they got to line up at a weird angle. Good part is once you do get them set up, they're not so bad. Although both manifolds are different. I will need Benjamin, a large like crescent wrench like the one on the welding table. Just going to get it close. We'll have to do some adjusting as we go. Got to set these up fairly accurate or you'll really alter the position of the exhaust pipe and where it shoulders up. They don't take too long to cut, but they do take forever to get set up to where you can cut them. I have to tilt the head as well. That requires pulling the pin that locks the head tilt. Pull the pin out of the head. Put it where we won't lose it. Maybe wrenches on top of the head because they all come crashing down. You want to bring me the angle box, please? Let me get an idea of what our angle is here. 0. That says we're at about 60 degrees. Okay. We are now at a little over 40. Says we're at about 54. $57, $58. That gets us close. That gets us close. There are probably immensely easier ways to do this, one of which would be to make something that would actually hold the manifold at the proper angle. That will be a construction project for another day. Okay. Set it up so the manifold's hanging about as far off the end as I dare. I will lock that down. Try to eyeball it. Get it close to being straight. I'll need to move the vise a little bit. Come up some more. Okay, so next thing I need to do, I want to get roughly in the middle, 0 up on this side, And then I need to go over to the other side and get fairly close to 0. I need to check. And I am at 6.5, 7. Gotta make sure I'm not 100 thousandths off, which is exactly what I am. So we'll spin this around. That's at 5 and 0. That's at 670, so I went the wrong way. That's 6 and 0. That's 6 and 50. Make that 6 and 25 and 0. Like I said, these take a while to set up. Cutting doesn't take too long. The setup takes forever. So let's go to there. That's 0. We're at between 6 and 7 and 0. Close to 0, but I'm between 5 and 6. So I'm 0 the wrong way. Alright, I'm at 6 and 0. I'm at 6 and 15. I'm really close. I'll go 6 and 8. That's 6 and 0 on the nose. That's 6 and a +2. We're real close. So, next thing I need to do is get a C-clamp on this. The reality is a couple thousandths of an inch won't matter a whole lot. I'm trying to get off what was the original gasket surface. Maybe what I'll do is run the flat file over that and knock some of the rust off of it. Give me a little better surface to center up on. Okay. Not really. You can see it's pretty eaten up. I'm going to 0 it there. I'll go over to where the land nut was at before. I'm within about 2/1000ths of an inch. That's about the best I can get. Lock that. You guys can't quite see that probably, but we are not tipped headwise quite enough. Since I'm only checking to make sure I am reasonably true, I'm just gonna get a 25 thou feeler gauge in there. Take the same cutter over to the other side. See if I can get the same 25 in there. It's just a whisker loose. And then down across the bottom. And just a little bit tight. And just a little open on the top. So the head needs to reduce tilt ever so slightly. A little bit more yet. Pretty close. Yeah, okay. That gets us pretty close. Now we need to lock the head. Check things. Quite a bit of movement there. Bit of movement there. Bit of movement there. We've actually loosened up a little. There. There. Just a whisker tight back there. Means we need to bump it just a hair towards me. That's within 5/1000ths of an inch. That's pretty close. Let's take a skim cut and see what we get. Oh, man. Where it's probably going to touch first, which is that old groove. A little very light skim on this and see what we get. I want to touch most of the way across. It's like the pipe may have pulled a little. May have pulled a little bit of a dish in it. That's what it's done. It's pulled a little bit of a dish in it. Can't take very much off because we're not mounted what one would call incredibly solid, so we gotta take shallow cuts. That'll take about 12 thou right there. Hanging off kind of precarious. So like I said, we take shallow cuts. Before people leave me comments, you're doing it all wrong. You just gotta be kind of slow and careful with this. Done a few of these before with pretty good success, so when we get all done, will take us a few thou fine cleanup pass. So far we're taking everything off though, we're not having any rust pits at 12K. Let's see what it looks like when we get down here in the interior where it rusts the worst. Shallow enough so I can still see some rust staining in the iron down through. Middle had dished it. The stud's pulling on the pipe, cupped it like this. Not taking much out of the midsection here. Barely cutting. Go a little faster. Pretty normal. That's why you can't get these things to seal up at this age without doing this. I put gaskets in them only to have them blow out. You can hear it starting to cut a little harder again. Some of that's the distance it's cutting. Some of it's cutting a little more metal. Still seeing some rust pitting now, so I think I've taken 30 or 40 thou off one of these before. We're probably not 100% square, but the thing to remember is that gland takes up a lot of it. You don't have to be dead on. I'd say we're pretty darn close. Take another 10K. Work.
Yes.
areas that's all that remain. Sharp eyes will probably notice the ring left from the last collar was quite a ways off center. One thing we're probably going to do is take a die grinder and open the end of this up a little bit bigger and try to pick up a little bit of performance out of this manifold. It's actually mostly cleaning up so far. And there you have it. One exhaust manifold surfaced flat. So the new gland will have a machined flat surface to seal up snug and tight to. There you go.
Well, thank you all for joining us once again for this week's edition of Rockets Rambler Garage and our beloved 62 that's been off the road for 30 years, and our attempt to drive to Kenosha, Wisconsin and back and go sightseeing along the way, which will be coming up this summer. So we'll be back next week once again with this. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy.